So this story from Time Magazine, we have the music industry is now extremely upset at the fact that AI music is taking over. I happen to be noticing a lot of music being posted on Instagram. A lot of it's probably X-rated or R-rated at the very least, but it's pretty funny. But some of it is just so good, you can't really tell if it's from AI or humans. And this Time Magazine article is titled, "It's Time to Rage Against the AI Music Machine," which is a play on words with Rage Against the Machine, from this guy, CJ Farley from Time. And he starts out in 1999. I interviewed Prince for Time Magazine, and he told me to leave my tape recorder off because he didn't trust what future technology might do with unauthorized recordings of his voice. At the time, I thought Prince was being paranoid. Recently, Xenia Monet became the first known AI-powered musical act to debut on a Billboard magazine airplay chart. I honestly didn't know this. This is very surprising to me, to say the least. Another reportedly AI-driven act, Breaking Rust, recently topped the country digital song sales chart. We don't know exactly what went into creating these AI-powered acts, but typically they are trained on the work of human musicians. The article kind of goes into this, and I do want to mention this, the training of the AI by humans, because this guy tries to make an argument that completely falls apart. He goes on to say, "I realize now that Prince wasn't paranoid, he was prescient." And so he's trying to say that Prince could tell the future about what was happening or what could potentially happen in AI. I'm not so sure about that. Maybe he was as high as he was during the time that he could predict the future, but I'm not quite sure that he knew or thought that somebody would use his voice in the future. And I mentioned this last night. Morgan Freeman is suing a lot of people because they're using his voice and have been using his voice and voiceovers and using AI to replicate his voice. This particular story and what's happening in AI right now is completely new material. It's not using people like Prince or other artists necessarily to create the music. It's completely on its own. It just happens to be AI, and the music industry still has a problem with it. And we'll go over that and explain why that is. Billboard reports that at least 6 AI or AI-assisted acts have appeared on its charts in the last few months. And that figure could be higher because it is hard to tell which acts are driven by AI and how much AI they're using. That's a huge point. AI could overwhelm human artists if left unchecked. I'm not sure that's a problem. One reason some music industry managers might see AI as a convenient replacement for notoriously difficult musician personalities. Is that a problem? AI never has to go to rehab. Another excellent point. AI doesn't trash hotel rooms. AI doesn't demand to renegotiate its record deal or get in fights with paparazzi or any of the million other things brilliant temperamental human artists might do. AI just pumps out products. What's more, a recent survey conducted by Ipsos for French music streaming service Deezer found that 97% of people polled couldn't tell if a song was created by a human or generated by AI. Now, I want to go back to the reasoning AI is it's sort of a kind of, I guess, a funny thing to say that the artists don't need to go to rehab and or trash hotel rooms, etc. But what it does, and it's not mentioned in this article, and I'm going to say it now before I continue and forget to say it, is that AI levels the playing field. And I get into this in many different stories and different industries, different sectors, things like that, because AI, as opposed to something that should be feared, should be embraced. And the reason I say that is because now someone who creates an excellent song, an amazing song, now has the opportunity to use AI from the creativity that they came up with. Why is it that the music industry gets to pick and choose who becomes famous? And so to me, it's not necessarily about the difficulties of the current artists that are on drugs and make millions of dollars and try to tell you who to vote for, and get into all of the political BS that they get into. But we want to hear about the music. We want to listen to music. And there are people out there. I mean, there are artists now on the internet that you can pay for to put on your YouTube videos. I'm not necessarily sure that they use AI, but a lot of them are a heck of a lot better than the ones that are promoted by the music industry. It's certainly a problem for human artists if AI begins to sound more like them. And it's going to, and it's only going to get better, and it's only going to get more accurate. And it's just, yeah, it's inevitable. But a potentially bigger problem may be that humans will start to sound more like AI. Music is a trend driven industry. Artists, fans, and music executives chase after what's hot, whether it's alternative rock, K pop, or Afrobeats. If AI music begins to dominate the charts, humans will begin to echo the machines, and there will be a downward spiral into slop. That's an opinion of this guy who is a writer and a fan of the music industry. This is a completely wrong statement. Pop music controversies are often centered around whether an artist is keeping it real or not. Beyonce had to push back against haters who didn't think she was country enough when she came out with her album Cowboy Carter. Okay. Who needs that? Who needs that controversy, and who cares about that controversy? Because she's not a cowboy. Kendrick Lamar and Drake dueled via diss tracks over whose music was authentically representing hip hop. Neither one does. People would argue that Drake is not a hip hop artist, that he was manufactured. A lot of these artists, you're going to sit there and tell me that they aren't manufactured. Tupac is completely manufactured. If you look up videos of Tupac when he was interviewed when he was 18 years old, and I won't get into it because it's certainly controversial. Tell me if he wasn't a manufactured artist as well. Nirvana frontman Kurt Cobain once said that the worst crime I can think of would be to rip people off by faking it. He wrote that line in his 1994 suicide note. Well, here's another example of an artist that had all kinds of different problems and things like that, and it was like, well, the music came to an abrupt end after that, didn't it? But once again, it's only fair to allow the people who can utilize AI, because it is humans behind it, to create new music that can compete and maybe excel beyond human artists. There's nothing wrong with that. In Living with Music, Ralph Ellison writes, let me go back to this. AI is the ultimate faker. If it takes over, it will undercut a core value of pop music, authenticity. Well, is it? Going back to what I just said before, is Drake authentic? Is Beyonce or Kendrick Lamar, are they authentic? I think a lot of people would argue that they're not. In Living with Music, Ralph Ellison writes that the blues is an impulse to keep the painful details and episodes of a brutal experience alive in one's aching consciousness, to finger its jagged grain and to transcend it, not by the consolation of philosophy, but by squeezing from it a near tragic, near comic lyricism. Who cares? I just want to listen to music. Okay, and then if it's speaks to me or whatever, that's great. But Ralph Ellison, here we are with the self-proclaimed artists and the self-proclaimed elite that think that they write things like this and that they're so brilliant that it justifies the elimination of artificial intelligence because it takes away their gravy train. And that's what this is all about. AI products don't have any life experience, brutal or otherwise, in my opinion, and likely in Ellison's. AI hasn't earned the right to sing the blues or jazz, country, rock, and hip hop. Absolutely, it does. Because the person behind the AI has life experience, and when they're creating that art, they're just doing it in a different way. They may not have the talent necessarily with the voice or the instruments or whatever it may be, but they very well may have. I mean, they're creating it through AI. So to say that is completely unfair and untrue. Keeping music human. That is precisely why the recording industry needs to stop referring to AI music releases as artists. I disagree with that. It is art. It is art. This practice anthropomorphizes AI in a way that's unearned. It should be referred to not as AI artists or musicians, but as AI products. Once again, here we are using gigantically huge words to justify a hatred against AI because what this is all about is taking away their income. That's all this is. This has nothing to do with anything else other than their livelihoods being threatened. And so to say that it's not, it shouldn't be included with other artists or it shouldn't be included with other musicians, it's just inevitable. It's going to happen. You can't fight it. Billboard has a chart for almost everything: hot dance electronic songs, hot R&B, hip hop songs, hot tropical songs, Americana folk albums. This is the other thing and how ridiculous all the genres are. AI products should be quarantined, he says, on their own chart. And then meanwhile, this article, by the way, is written by AI. That's why he's using the big words, because an M dash, which gives away the fact that it is a AI written article, is in his article, and he didn't remove it. They call it hot. They should call it hot AI products chart, away from human musicians with real lives and with real financial. That's what this is about. Real financial obligations like credit card payments, mortgages, and college loans they may have taken out to attend music school. I mean, could you make this any more obvious of what a crybaby this guy is? The way I look at it is, and with everybody watching this, is that you're going to have to learn to adapt to AI. There's no other way around it. And even in the music industry, you can fight it and you can complain and you can whine about it all day long, but ultimately it's going to take over. Here's where it really gets fun. Tim Pohlman, Chief Programming Officer for the audio company iHeartMedia. This is important because iHeartMedia is a billion-dollar media company that controls what you hear, by the way. And a lot of these companies and the media, a lot of these industries have control over what it is that you listen to and what you hear. He recently sent a memo to staffers pledging that we don't play AI music that features synthetic vocalists pretending to be human. The memo said the company's research found that 96% of consumers think guaranteed human content is appealing. I don't believe that for for a second. Sometimes you have to pick a side. We're on the side of humans, the memo concluded. Well, first of all, it's hard to argue if you play the music and the person who's listening on the other side doesn't know if it's human or not. So now iHeartRadio has to guarantee that it's human created. Once again, it's embarrassing to read this stuff because you know what's going to end up happening. You know the inevitability that this stuff is going to be taken over by AI. In a letter to fans, Australian singer-songwriter Nick Cave argued that creativity is meaningful because it requires effort. Even God had to take a break after doing it. Not sure what that means. AI-powered services like ChatGPT could churn out entertainment products with no experience, no effort, and no rest. Why is that relevant? Thus, their output, therefore, has no meaning, according to Cave. It doesn't matter. What does it matter? If somebody enjoys listening to it, do you really honestly think they care of your life experience putting that into it? And once again, the people creating it are still humans behind it. They have life experience. ChatGPT rejects any notions of creative struggle that our endeavors animate and nurture our lives, giving them depth and meaning, he wrote. All I can say again is that humans are involved in programming the AI to create the music. Artists shouldn't dismiss change out of hand. Some folk music fans were outraged when Bob Dylan plugged in at the Newport Folk Festival in 1965, but afterwards many people saw his decision as innovative and brave. I happen to think that Bob Dylan is, one of those artists that, some people like. But once again, you can't come up with another Bob Dylan through AI, and who cares about that guy? And going back to another experience that recently I watched a movie, it's called Floored, and it's a bunch of people who were pit traders in the Chicago Board of Trade, the CBOE, and they were in what's called open cry trading pits. So they would yell back and forth and trade options. Well, ultimately, what ended up happening is all the trading went to computers. Some of the guys adapted to it. A lot of them would not. They refused to adapt to computer trading, wouldn't learn it. And then ultimately what ended up happening is a lot of them ended up having to either retire or quit or get into something else. And the same thing's happening here, where, the music industry, and it's not just music, it's every industry. It's going to be law. It's going to be, services, financial services, journalism. Everything you can possibly imagine is going to be affected by this. And you could resist it all you want, but ultimately it's going to completely take over, and it's taking over rapidly. There will doubtless be creative ways of employing AI as a musical tool, and I'm eager to be part of a future in which the technology is put to good use. But right now, AI isn't creating fresh work. It's channeling the work of humans. Okay, it's channeling the work of humans. Humans are programming it and telling you what to sing, what instruments to use, cadence, things like that. Here's the funny part of this article. A group of more than 1,000 musicians, including Paul McCartney, huge surprise, of, in my opinion, the worst. This is one of the most manufactured bands ever in history. The Beatles, I cannot understand, and I'm sure a lot of people will be angry that I say this, but I cannot imagine being a fan of their music. And rumor has it that they were a manufactured band, of course, for various reasons. But it's Paul McCartney, of all people, is not a surprise. Contributed to an album due out on vinyl on December 8th titled, Is This What We Want? Yeah, it is. That's aimed at protesting AI music that doesn't properly compensate human artists. Why should AI music properly compensate human artists? If the people who created the AI music, they should be compensated, and that's their, that's their job to figure that out. But what, humans should just be outright compensated for AI music just for the sake of somebody creating AI music? That doesn't make sense. But it's not a surprise from somebody like Paul McCartney. If AI generated products are allowed to take over entertainment without guardrails and fair compensation to humans, lovers of music, movies, literature, and art will soon find themselves trapped in a ceaseless remix of the past. Once again, this is just a horrible cope. This is a kicking and screaming death, death spiral of many industries, including the music and Hollywood, and they're just not liking it. Artists and audiences and music industry executives need to pause and reflect on what role we want AI to play in this new era of creation. You're not going to control it. You're going to, AI is going to control it, and people using AI are going to control it. You're not going to be able to stop it. So this entire article is a bitch session of the inevitable. And once again, what it does is it levels the playing field, and people that are in power, when they see that the average person or somebody who is a talented artist never had the opportunity to become famous or get their work out there because of the gatekeepers in that industry, now they have a shot at it. And these people in the music industry are not happy about it. And so they want to stop it. And, because they see, once again, they see their incomes going away. They see their livelihoods going away. And it's, it's a predictable human behavior, of course. So let me know what you think about that. Do you think that AI music taking over is a bad thing? Or do you think what I'm saying is that it's a good thing? It allows more people with creativity to get into the industry, that is going to open up for different genres, different types of music, and that people are going to have more of a choice now because of AI. And it's only going to get better. The quality is going to get better. And soon, and now you can't even tell the difference between a human and an AI. So let me know what you have to say about that.